Good evening and welcome. This episode of Unscripted is powered by The Predator Hunter, exposing the darkness that hides online and standing up for those who cannot defend themselves. Tonight's conversation is not an easy one. Some stories come from polished studios, well planned careers. Others come from the rough edges of life, from mistakes, conflict, controversy, and the kind of experiences that force a person to confront who they are and what they believe. Our guest tonight has lived through all of it. From growing up in a working class community in Nottingham to stepping into the center of one of the most controversial activist movements in modern British history, to losing relationships, facing prison, and walking through some of the darkest chapters a person can endure. But life has a way of reshaping people. And sometimes those chapters become the turning point. Today, his mission has taken a different form. Through investigative work, filmmaking, and his predator hunter operations, he says he is focused on exposing those who prey on the vulnerable and bringing difficult conversations into the open. For supporters, he is a whistleblower willing to confront uncomfortable truths. For critics, he remains a deeply polarizing figure. Either way, his story sparks strong reactions and raises bigger questions about justice, accountability, redemption, and what drives a person to dedicate their life to fight what they believe in. Tonight, we're not here for headlines. We're here for the human story behind them, the experiences, the motivations, the moments that shape the man sitting across from us. So tonight, we will understand more of his mission and how you can get involved. I will have John and Gina with me. So let's go ahead and get unscripted with Gurmeet Singh. And welcome. How are you tonight?
Very well, Gina. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, that was a great introduction. It's one of the best I've had this year so far. So well done for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, you are doing amazing work. And, it's a topic that can be very sensitive. A lot of people don't like to touch on it. But one of the questions that I do want to ask before we get into all of it, when people hear your name, many already have an opinion about who you are. Who is the man they don't see behind the headlines?
I'm Gurmit Singh. I'm a married family man from Nottingham. I'm a businessman. I've built over the last, since I came out of prison, so the last 10 years, I built an incredible business in the Northeast where I basically rent housing to private individuals, some to social housing, which are people on welfare, as you say in America, benefits, we say here. But yeah, just an all-round normal guy, really. Well, that's how I see myself. My foundations, I built my bones. My first blood and tears I ever cried and sweated were in the days of the English Defence League, where I used to run that on a monthly basis alongside with Tommy Robinson and Kevin Carroll. I was one of the founding leaders. I used to organise demonstrations across this country. I was a spokesperson. Then life took a little bit of a switch, and I ended up with a prison sentence, which a lot of people know about, and that's what brought me to the business and Predator Hunter series in the last couple of years.
That is amazing. So you looking back at your younger self and
Yeah.
growing up in Nottingham, what moment do you think quietly set you on the path that would eventually bring you to this point here?
My name's Gurmit Singh Kalrai. It says it all in my middle name, Singh. It's a name that's given to us from our gurus, especially Guru Gobind Singh. Now, I'm not a religious Gurmit Singh, like what you probably realise that people, with the turbans and the swords. I think that's my own journey that I'm actually quietly going on. But
Mhm.
my people were oppressed by the force of Islam and by Malta and by militant Muslims, which were born within the Mughal Muslim Empire of the part of India for years. So I heard the stories of repression, of oppression, of rape, of murder, of jihad across across our whole religious textures that I grew up reading. I also saw in England, which you've probably heard about in America, and you've probably spoken about yourself, probably the worst crime that the women of this country have ever suffered, and that's a grooming gang scandal, where millions and millions of girls in the country of Great Britain were raped, pillaged, murdered, plied with drugs and alcohols from very young ages across the whole entire length and breadth of Great Britain. And this was committed by 87% of the people that committed these crimes were Pakistani Muslim. And before the grooming gang scandal, before the groomers actually switched from before the groomers were actually dealing with young British white girls, before that, there's a story that not many people know about. And that story is that the Sikh community, the Sikh girls in this country, they were raped, pillaged, and groomed precisely the same the white English girls of this country are. What happened is in them days, you had organisations such as Sher Punjab, many of the volunteers I still know, a lot of them I'm related to. Some of them are still serving prison sentences for their I'm not going to call it vigilante work. You can say it how it is. Everybody has their own opinion. But for their work back in the day, they went out and they made sure that their girls weren't raped or groomed no more. Let me just put it that way. From then, you saw a change of narrative. The Pakistani Muslim men weren't going after Sikh girls. They were targeting young British girls that typically come from a working class background. So when you have that history of my religion, of what I've learned growing up in the Gurdwara and in a Sikh family in our home on a daily basis, when you have the history of the grooming gang scandal in this country, you amalgamate that all together and then you pour it into a man who's always taught, go out and fight for what you believe in and don't let anybody tell you any difference. And I suppose they were the lighting points that led my career to what it is right now.
That is amazing. I mean, you've lived through a lot. You've lived through controversy, prison, activism, and now you're doing investigative work. Which chapter of your life changed you the most as a human being?
Well, that will 100% be the Predator Hunter series. Obviously, I had my substantial prison sentence. I was in prison for about 5-6 years. 4 years of that, I was behind my doors most of the day under high security. I was attacked over and over again by Muslims. It's a crime that I still plead my innocence for to this day. But hey ho, it's in the past. I'm kind of over it now. When I did come home in 2017, I started building my business, which was rental properties in Teesside County Durham, the northeast of England. During the period, my prison sentence, I mean, this alone should be able to tell you precisely in what direction the police were heading when it came to putting me in prison. When I went to prison, Tommy Robinson went to prison at the same time, and they arrested Kev Carroll for some misdemeanors as well from years ago. So that tells you one thing. When I did come home from prison in England, you have this thing like a probation report. So when you leave prison, it's the do's and don'ts of what you're allowed to do when you come home. I had 8 pages double-sided, that's 16 pages in total. For 15 of them pages, all the rules were keep away from Tommy Robinson, don't start the English Defence League, don't do speeches anymore, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to this community, don't do protests. So it kind of already tells you that my prison sentence wasn't for the crime that they put me in. And if anybody's wondering at home, the crimes I received my illegitimate sentence for were attempted armed robbery, extortion, demanding money with menaces, assault. It's something that spiraled out of control, but it wasn't what the police said. But hey ho, I did my time. That's it. I came home. So in 2017, I wasn't allowed to associate with Tommy for a number of years. In 2021, just after lockdown, I'd say probably 2022, Tommy Robinson started doing some smaller demonstrations in the town of Telford. These demonstrations was to raise awareness against the Telford grooming gang, which is a gang of purely Pakistani Muslim men in an eastern part of our country. When he started organising these demonstrations for the first time since 2011, when we actually disbanded the English Defence League, I turned up just to support him, just had a bit of a social, just start getting. I wasn't going to get back into the scene. I was just hanging around with my best mate again. We're very close friends, very close colleagues. We have been for a number of years. So it was just nice to be able to spend that time. Because when you're in our situation, a leader of the English Defence League, I went to prison for a number of years. I was attacked left, right and centre. My own probation officer said to me when I came home, how the hell did you get out of that alive? The very people that were supposed to be taking care of me and making sure I was okay, I wasn't took care of. My MP, which is a member of parliament for my area at the time, she got a job in cabinet in Downing Street, and she was a small business minister, and she was actually sat on a daily basis in cabinet next to the Justice Secretary, which was Michael Gove at the time, I believe. My probation officer, my solicitors, myself, my family wrote to him to urge him to put me into a better environment, a safer condition for me. They all refused. So it kind of tells you, when you kind of start adding all these things up, it kind of tells you what sort of road they were going down when it came to my prison sentence. But hey ho, it's all done. But yeah, so when I wanted to start associating with Tommy again, he's like friends, our families associate together. My wife and his ex-wife are very best friends. I talked to his children. I was around when they were born and everything. So we've got a long history. So I started attending the demonstrations, and it's before Elon actually gave Tommy Robinson his X account back. So the demonstrations were quite small, but after a year or so, he started doing the big, massive ones. There was Parliament Square, then Trafalgar Square, and the one last September in Whitehall, where we brought 3.5 million people to central London. Obviously, we've got another one coming up soon on May the 16th, where we think it's even going to blow them figures out of the water. So when I started attending the demonstrations again, a local family in Nottingham who knew about me, they knew of me because of my past with Tommy Robinson, etc. They had contacted me because they had a story to tell. Young Kira, the first documentary that we made called Kira's Justice, which is available on all platforms, young Kira was pillaged with drugs and alcohol from the age of 14, 15, 16 years old by a 59-year-old shopkeeper called Harry Shunker in the Beeston area of Nottingham, is where I'm from. Once they did actually finally make it to court, there was quite a delay because of COVID. When they did make it to court, Harry Shunker pleaded guilty to a lesser charge and walked home with a 12-month suspended sentence. So Kira never got the justice that she wanted, and she didn't get the justice for a number of years after the criminal proceedings against Harry Shunker. Harry Shunker received 12-month suspended sentence, and then Kira, she kind of fell in a hole of depression, of addiction, the kind of things that you see what most people suffer with when they go through this sort of trauma in their life. It's not something I'm judgmental about. Over the last couple of years in my investigative work with the Predator Hunter series, every single one of the victims that I've worked alongside, I do keep on helping. With Kira, I'm helping her to get into self-employment. With Marie, I've helped her financially to get her family back together so they can make bigger and better and longer ties. It's not just a case of me making a show and moving forward. I am an ongoing support network for these individuals as well. I was just talking to John a minute ago. Kira's going into self-employment soon now. She needs a little bit of money to do that. Things aren't free. The police didn't help her. Probation didn't help her. Social services didn't help her. The solicitors didn't help her. The courts didn't help her. Well, I'm going to help her. And when I did actually finally get involved with Kira's Justice, because she was suspecting that Harry Shunker could be committing these crimes to other young girls in different parts of the country, when I got involved, we put a documentary together. I did a sting on him, and I put him in prison for 2 years. He went to prison last December. What that means in this country is if you get a 2-year sentence, you'll come out in 12 months. But there's a possibility of him getting a GPS tag, which is an electronic tag that you have on your ankle, and he may be able to get out a little bit early from that. So because of the success of Kira's Justice, and especially when I saw the difference in Kira as a human being from when I first met her until the end of the process of the Predator Hunter series, well, the Predator Hunter episode, which really ended her story kind of with me ended like last December, because that's when Harry Shunkles finally went to prison. So it took like a year and a half to get done. And then obviously after Kira, there was multiple other women that came to me for the help. There's a story that I know that impacted John quite a lot, which I was actually in court for the other day, where an individual, a self-confessed paedophile who had sexual urges towards a 13-year-old girl who his 16-year-old son was actually going out with, which is also an offence within itself, my barrister was explaining to me the other day. You know, Marie's daughter, I can't mention her name, she rung her mother up on one occasion. She wanted to come home. The man at the house, the elderly gentleman called Peter Allen, he wouldn't let Marie go. He admitted that he had sexual urges towards her. He admitted he wanted to marry her, have a relationship with her. We also had evidence in the documentary that's called A Mother's Anguish, where his own daughter has sent messages to her mother, who Peter Allen's not actually with anymore, saying that my father has inappropriately touched me in my private parts. So all the evidence was there for me to make a decision to carry out a sting on him. You know, I attended a property that Marie had rung the police 36, 37 times. She got 36 different crime reference numbers. The police did nothing about it. I attended the property. At first, he lied to me and told me that the young 13-year-old girl is not in the property. It was a safeguarding issue why I attended. I'm reminded him who I was, and I think something clicked in his mind as well. And then you can watch it in the documentary. A few minutes later, he handed the girl over to me. From there, we had to rehome Chloe in the north of England to a grandfather's house for her to just get away from a 16-year-old boyfriend and that 59-year-old, well, 57-year-old, I think he is, self-confessed paedophile Peter Allen. And then over a bit of time, we brought her back. Now the family's got a lot closer together. It's working out better. But obviously, her as a young girl, she's still going through trauma. She's never admitted to any crimes that Peter Allen has been committed to her. But maybe something will come out in the future. I hope to God not. But, you know, in these circumstances, that kind of tends to be the sort of things that always play out in front of you. But on a safeguarding issue and as a preventative measure, you know, we did the Predator Hunter documentary and, you know, removed that girl from that monster's house. He had me arrested for harassment because I attended his house to remove a 13-year-old girl that he said he had sexual attractions for, and he's a grown-ass man. I also attended his, I also put some questions to him in the street one day. And there was another time where he went round Marie's house with a load of people and smashed up her cars and smashed up her windows. So I attended his house with some of my friends and told him not to do that again. Because of that, the police have had me done for harassment. I was in court this week. It's cost me tens and tens of thousands of pounds. PredHunter.com is going to be supporting me with ongoing work. They actually supported me with some of the finance this week towards it through my Great Awards from the TPH coin. So, you know, that's another one we're working on. We actually had the court case adjourned because in the court case, it was all paid for. We were ready to move forward and get the trial done and dusted that day. The Crown Prosecution have now decided to bring in more witnesses. For more witnesses to come in, my solicitor has to prepare the questions to put to them. And he also needs to talk about money. You know, solicitors don't ask people questions for no reason. You know what I mean? They need to be financially motivated also. We've got to go away, write out the questions, and we need to talk about more money involved in the case. But I haven't committed the crime of harassment and violence. To explain how minor this crime is, worst case scenario for me is a £150 fine. But I've got to fight. I've got to fight it no matter what. I have got to fight it, regardless of the financial burden it is on me and my family. I'm going to keep fighting it, and even if I lose, I'm going to appeal because I've never been one to give up. I think you probably know that from me, and a lot of people, you probably read from my work and watched my work. I will never give up on anything in my life. So yeah, that was another episode, and then we've got multiple other episodes. I exposed a grooming gang from Ukraine into Great Britain. I exposed that President Zelensky's wife was involved in child trafficking children from Ukraine into Moldova. From Moldova, I exposed that members of MI6 were giving them fake identification to bring these children over into Great Britain to be then sold in the sex trafficking ring. Recently, I've been working on a documentary with an old whistleblower called John Wesner in London. We've got it all made. We've just got to do the sting now. It's going to be a big security concern because the sort of men I'm planning on stinging, it won't be surprised to me if they're armed to the teeth. So we need to be very prepared for this one. It's going to take 2-3 weeks out of our lives, but we're going to go down London to expose this child trafficking gang, and we may even be in that position where we'll be ripping victims, young children, out of these monsters' arms and houses and wherever they do keep them at as well, whether it be brothels, hotels, wherever. My intelligence has showed me, with my spotter down there at the moment, there's a certain area we can go, and after 2 a.m. the children are available to basically purchase by the hour. So we're going to go and take that whole grooming ring down. Sadiq Khan in London hasn't been able to do anything over years, but I'm just going to show everybody how it does. The Grooming Gang scandal in central London does exist. We've done multiple other documentaries as well, and now with the support of predhunter.com moving forward into the future, it gives me the opportunity and the resources to help more victims, because there has been a lot more victims coming to me, but I don't prioritize by seriousness of the case. I have to just look at the legitimacy of each case. And when they do come to me, I just start ticking them off one by one. But because of the resources, and well, it is only simply down to the resources available to me, it's hard for me to get around to every single victim. So with the support of predhunter.com, we'll be upping the workload and helping a lot more victims in the future. I've already just recorded 2 documentaries. You've seen we've put 2 pieces of content out. We're doing 2 stings next week. 3 documentaries starting to operate. They'll start going into production at the end of next week as well. And then obviously we're going to be live stinging people as well and streaming that on Pump Fun and various other platforms. So yeah, it's going in the right direction.
You know, I just hearing this, you are doing amazing work, great work. I just can't believe that they actually arrest you guys in other countries for talking about this, speaking about this. Me as an adult, I don't understand how a human being that, you know, is within our age can look at a child and even think that that's attractive. That is the most disgusting thing. It's like, we need to protect our children. We need to protect our women, our men that are being exploited. I think that you are doing great work. And I know that you being in prison, you know, sometimes prison changes people. Some come out hardened, others come out transformed. Was there ever a moment in your life where you questioned everything you believed and wondered if the fight was worth it?
Yeah, 100%. There was multiple times in prison. You know, I was attacked on multiple occasions in HMP Stockholm. The thing is with HMP Stockholm, the officers actually let the attack happen on me. There were 7, 8 of them officers outside my cell, and they watched 7, 9, 10 Muslims come into my cell and try and do their worst on me. In HMP Stockholm, there's a camera outside every single cell. And in court, we actually sued HMP Stockholm officers, and I won. But I wasn't awarded any compensation or anything like that because the judge didn't think it's not the right sort of image he wants to portray of compensation being given out to a far right hooligan such as myself. You know, that far right slurs like stuck with me forever. But the terminology of far right, what it means in Great Britain right now, it's actually not a bad thing. So it doesn't really bother me at all. In another prison, there was a £21,000 assassination attempt on my life where they had found bullets in somebody's cell and then they were looking for the gun. Because of that, they moved me onto an open prison. And then I managed to spend the rest of my years there, a year and a half there. That's a prison where you get to go home every month for 4 days, see your family, reintroduce you back into society. And from there, my business plan came with a very influential family that I was working for when I was up there, who I'm still in contact with. And so, yeah, so everything. So, but, in prison, there were dark moments, especially, in HMP Stockholm when that attack first happened, because I was in prison for about a year and a half, and then that happened a year and a half into my sentence. And then it was like every day, every other day for like a year, I had to watch my back. There was always something going on. And there were even people on the wing who actually had some concerns for me, because they knew about my name. They knew I was from England, Nottingham. I was EDL leader. They used to come and try and, console me, give me a shoulder to lean on. I used to tell them, don't associate with me, keep away from me. Because if you're seen to associate me, you'll get attacked as well. And that did happen on a couple of occasions. Luckily for me, there were some great, incredible, strong individuals that weren't even concerned about what would happen to them. They were just more bothered about me. So I did have some friends to get me through that part of my life. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, it is what it is. It happened. There were moments, people said, suicide's a big thing. I mean, I've just started a charity called, well, it's not a charity because I'm not asking anybody for funds. I'm doing it all myself. It's called Talk Tonight by Gurmit Singh. It starts on the 16th of January. It took me a while to sort out the insurance for it. I just got all the paperwork through today. It starts on the 16th of March at 6:30 in the evenings at the Victory Club on Station Road in Nottingham. And it's a group for men to come and sit down and talk about their worries and their daily concerns. It isn't by no means any professional medical service. It's just a time where we get to sit down and talk. Because there were moments in prison where, I'll admit it, I thought about killing myself. I thought about it, but then I said, not a chance. I've got a family that I have to get back to. I've got people relying. When I went to prison, my brother had only just started university. I've always been responsible for my family's finances, so even when I was in prison, I had to make arrangements so they were taken care of over the next few years because I'm not bound. I'm not going to be around. And when I came home, I still, took that responsibility full on. So, and like I said to John, I spoke with him many times because it's been frustrating for me because the Predhunter series has been funded by myself and Urban Scoop. And my family have took a lot. They've had to live a lesser lifestyle due to me using our resources to help these victims, and carry on with my work to try and bring justice to them. So, with Predator Hunter Coin being involved in it all, it's gonna lessen the stress on me, and I won't have to listen to the same old headaches I've been listening from my wife and my mother for the last few years, because it's not gonna be a burden on their family no more, on their resources, just on the PredatorHunter.com's resources, which is a hell of a lot better. So we're moving into a new place. What has happened in the past is in the past. I try and leave it there. I only concentrate on the future. Recently, since my name's been ringing bells quite a lot more, since the Predator Hunter series has come out, there's a lot of people on the left and a lot of people on the Islamic side that have been very keen to share my prison sentence all over the internet. So I made a film the other day that's available on all platforms called Up Close and Personal with Gurmit Singh. And just to let everybody know that it really doesn't bother me at all, the first thing I speak about is a prison sentence. So everybody gets the gist that it's in my past, it's not bothered, and I only move forward. I'm only thinking about the now and the future, nothing else.
Love that. So, Gurmit, the Predator Hunter Project is asking for, or we are asking for the public to help support the work. Why is community support so critical to keeping these investigations going? And then we're going to have Gina and John join us on the project, the vision, the mission, and how people can get involved.
Is this a question for me?
Yes. So the question
right,
for you is why is the community support so critical? Because you're doing the work.
Yeah. Okay. So the way it works, previously with the Predator Hunter Coin, obviously everybody knows I'm very closely related with Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's organisation is Urban Scoop, which I'm now a part of. We're the guys that bring the demonstrations of millions and millions of people to London city centre. Now, when it comes to my documentaries, it's just not a case of me turning up with a mobile phone and recording a sting and going away like many excellent, amazing Predator Hunters do. There's more of a story with my documentaries. It always starts with a victim coming to me for help, me compiling the evidence, and then from there, getting a production team, cameramen, everyone together, doing interviews, stinging. There's a lot of costs involved. Average documentary could run into the thousands of pounds, a good few £1,000s, especially when you've got hotels, travel, etc., food people need to eat. And it's very hard, you see. I mean, it'll be great. I mean, luckily, God bless, I managed to build my life in a way where I built a business where I can walk away from it at any time. Multiple property agents manage my properties for me. The only thing I really do have to do is just, give the okay on some expenses and watch the money as it comes in and just make sure it's right. So it frees up my time a lot. But a lot of people don't have the free time I have. If I turn around to an individual and say, I need you on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, people have jobs. So these people, I need to pay for these people. So over the years, Urban Scoop have been supporting me as much as they can financially, God bless them. But it's took a hell of a lot of money. It took a hell of a lot of money out of my pocket. So I had to come up with a way that I can continue my work, because once you see what I saw in the eyes of Kira, how she changed, once you see the impact that this work has had on the country, and how it's been received, it's very hard to walk away from it. And I was about to walk away from it, but something in me clicked, just basically says, all right, but I'm a problem solver. It's what I do. The problem is money. We need more money. How can I get that? I need to earn more money. And that's how I'll do it. I don't want to be making videos and putting them out every day and begging people for money or asking for charity donations or anything like that, because I don't believe that's going to be consistent for the work. If, like, on Monday we're going to central London to do interviews with who I potentially believe are going to be the next prime ministers of this country, because right now I'm making some political ties as well, because it's all well and good me doing these Predator Hunter episodes for the future. I need to make sure the next leaders of this country are on the same page as me. And for me to be able to support them and get the individuals I'm involved with to support them, there's two things I need. I need life sentences for paedophiles and I need life sentences for rapists. So I am making political alliances. There's 3 leaders I'm visiting over the next on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm going to make sure I've got a handshake with them, that if they're in power, and as long as they stick to what they're going to say, I'll give them all the support and backing from me and my team as what they're going to need. So that's going to get done. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, we're in Manchester. Then on Thursday, I'm going back. I'm going to Rochdale for more recording. So all of this has a cost: fuel, hotels, food. And I thought to myself, well, if I can expand my business to make more money, then I can fund it that way. But that's very hard to do in this climate, this financial climate, that how it's going right now in the country. So the other idea that I had, I asked around a few people, and a good friend of mine that's part of our group that you'll see called Shane Temple. He does some recording at our demonstrations, and he pitched the idea to me last September. He goes, "Have you ever thought about the crypto coin?" Now, I don't know anything about the crypto coin. I've got some money in a hedge fund that Hargreaves Lansden take care of, which, I just see dividends every year. And then the crypto industry is completely new to me. If it's not bricks and mortar, I don't know anything about it. I try not to step out of my lane. I stick to what I know, and that's it. And that's how I make my money. So when I got introduced to John said there is an opportunity. If he could get a coin out there to market it, and then people buy into the coin, I can raise revenue from creator rewards, the transactional fees. And I said, that sounds very good. I'm not asking people for money. I'm not begging people for money. I'm not asking people for loans. I won't need to spend my family's holiday money. Last year, I cancelled 2 holidays because I needed to use the funds for my Pred Hunter series. Because, like I said, it could run into thousands and thousands and thousands. So this way, I've got the support and help I need to continue the work, and it's not going to be the huge burden it has been on my life for the last couple of years. I'm not here to. It's not a get rich quick for me. I'm not here to make a fortune. My business does very well, and I have my own ways of expanding my business and doing well. Okay, there. Me and my family live a good life. We're happy with that, and I want to keep it like that. So I need a separate form of income for this game, for the Pred Hunter series, and it's going to be the predhunter.com.
That's amazing. Gina, did you have a question earlier? Or did you want to chime in? You're muted.
I feel like, am I lagging? I feel like I'm lagging to me. Am I lagging to you?
I can hear you, yes. It's a little bit low, but I can hear you.
It felt like it was. Okay.
No,
yeah,
we just can't hear you. I don't think you're lagging.
I think your mic volume is just too low. Like you're not. No, I can hear you, but you're sort of in and out volume wise.
Weird. All right, let me leave and come back because I feel like maybe that'll help. Give me a second. Be right back.
John, do you have any questions? Or you know what? Tell us how you guys came about. How, John, you started supporting the project. Tell us about the project and, how people can get involved in supporting this mission. And if you don't support catching pedos, then what the fudge are you doing with your life? Like, what are you seriously freaking doing?
Well, I mean, I'll say to start off, there's 2 types of people in the world. There's people who support this and people who don't. And people who support this, they don't have to buy the token, but they can certainly share the message and share what Gurmit's doing and share the streams and, share the clips and whatnot. But if you don't support someone who's catching pedophiles, then you're either a pedophile or a pedophile supporter. Like there's not another option there, right? There's something wrong. Anyway, the way we got involved, obviously I've been in crypto for a minute meaning a couple years, which is also like decades in crypto time. And I'm a free speech absolutist. I believe that free speech is one of the most important God-given rights on the planet. Because of that view, I believe I was brought into the UTK team to help run spaces for Tommy's team. And I through running spaces for the UTK team, I was connected with Gurmit, and he talked about wanting to do a token. And so I sort of watched some of his clips, and lots of people have contacted me wanting to do a token. And the one that really got me was the one that he sort of alluded to, where there's a 13-year-old girl who's stuck in a 45-year-old pedophile man's house. The mother called the police 37 fucking times, and the police did nothing.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So the mother called the police 37 times, and the police did nothing. If the police aren't going to do something, there's one of my favorite quotes. I off the top of my head, I can't remember who said it, but it's the only way for evil to succeed in the world is if good men do nothing. And there's an opportunity here to do something. I don't think it was Churchill. I could be wrong.
I'm sure it was Churchill.
I think Winston Churchill re-quoted it.
Right,
I think it was. Yeah. Winston, he definitely used the quote. Yeah. I don't think it was his originally. But anyway, there's a responsibility as a man in society to keep children safe. There's also a responsibility to make sure that if you have the ability to do something good, that you have the responsibility to do something good. And why not integrate crypto and this mission? Because number one, we can bring a whole bunch of crypto people to understand what Gurmit's doing and get more views on what he's doing and get more support on what he's doing. And number two, you know, Gurmit's quote unquote normie following. Gurmit, that's what we call people who are in the non-crypto world who are jumping in for the first time. You know, they'll have the opportunity to see a crypto project that's safe. And so it made complete sense. We had a lot of hiccups along the way before launching in personal lives and issues with snipers and all that crap. But here we are, we're live, and I'm excited, and it's only going up from here. You know, the Pump Fund team knows about us. We're in the running for the hackathon, which is a $250,000 award, of which a good amount of that is going to future documentaries. A good amount of that is going to liquidity. A good amount of that is going to, you know, the chart to pump holders' bags. And a good amount of that is going to those who have bought in early and not sold anything. And so, I don't know. I'm excited about this one. This is something that it's sort of a passion project. You know, my mom, not everybody knows this. My mom died a couple weeks ago, and after a long battle with brain cancer, and she was a school teacher. She was a first grade teacher. So something that she was obviously very passionate about was keeping kids safe. And some of the stuff that I've heard from Gurmit and what he encounters on a daily basis doing these things, and like, for example, the decoys, there was the decoy organization. There was a decoy who put out a picture of a 13-year-old girl. It very clearly said, "I am a 13-year-old girl." And within 2 hours, she had 174 messages from men who were like over
messages.
Yeah, in 2 hours, 147 messages.
High-ranking
and
individuals
he showed me some of the DMs that were absolutely fucking disgusting. It was like, "Do you have hair down there? Here's what my dick looks like." All this other stuff. It's fucking disturbing. The fact that this goes on is wrong. And if we can do something about it, we have to do something about it, because the English government's not going to. The other thing that I like about Gurmit is he was on a podcast and someone asked him, like, "You can't catch them all. Like, why are you even doing this?" And he was like, "You don't think I can catch them all? Watch me." Like, we're going worldwide with this. We are going to not stop until every single pedophile in the world is so afraid to hurt a child that they're going to be like, "You know what? I'm not going to do it," because I've seen these guys online. The mind share is there.
Obviously, everybody knows me from my involvement with Tommy Robinson.
The mind share is there. We are coming after them. We're not going to stop. Several of the team members are going to actually be live on the ground with Gurmit in these stings. And we're going to fight the good fight. And we're not going to stop until every single fucking pedophile is done. Like, it needs to stop. The world has put up with it for fucking hundreds of years, from what it looks like, with all the shit that's come out recently. The amount of mind share this has is insane. You know, you saw what Tim Tebow put out in Congress, I'm sure, the other day. And, you know, yesterday, Congress declined to pass a bill, and it was by like 360 against to 64. And the bill would have basically put out to public knowledge the members of Congress who were charged with some sort of sexual crime. Wow. So it's not just an English problem. The United States Congress voted overwhelmingly against making public knowledge members of the American political body who are convicted of a sex crime. This is a global problem. And it's something that, you know, we can start in England. We can move it to America. With Pred Hunter, we've got a really good utility, which is you can self-report pedophile activity on the app if you've got something that you're worried about. And you know what? If you're in crypto and you want to buy a bag, buy a bag. If you don't want to buy a bag, don't buy a bag. But there's nothing wrong with a retweet and a like and all that stuff, because it's something that, you know, I can tell you the team's not going to stop. Gurmit's not going to stop. I admire his conviction. And for him to sit there and be asked, "You can never catch them all, so why are you even doing this?" And he said, "Watch me." You know, that's some pretty big belief right there.
And the one thing I wanted to touch on, John, what you just spoke about, you know, there's definitely been a connection with me and John since he's been involved with this whole thing. And yeah, it has dragged on a little bit, but he saw it through, and he shares that same sort of conviction and passion towards helping these bastards the same way that I do. And with this crypto thing, I mean, you hear a lot about, like John says, I'm a normie, I don't know much about it. I've heard a lot about people pumping and dumping and stuff like that. The main things about this coin, I said to John when I got involved with him, I said, I need it to be consistent, I need it to be reliable, and I need it to be long running. I need this to go on forever, because when it does stop, then what do? Start funding myself again? You know, so it needs to be forever. It needs to be a safe project, and especially if it's carrying my name, regardless of a prison sentence, anything else, anybody else you ask about my name, it carries weight, and I want that to always stay there. And when John speaks about going international, that's actually becoming more and more apparent and easier for me as the days pass. I have a decoy team. So in the decoy team, there's actually four now professional decoys. We've had a new one that's joined today. And these decoys are managing a group of 7 decoys in one team. And so yeah, I've not even told John this. I've doubled my decoy team today. So then I've got a separate group of another 6 decoys. And these decoys scour the internet and they act as they are young children. They do not instigate conversations. They don't incite conversations. They don't go out looking for people. They don't even add anybody. Like John said, that we had the decoy the other week on Snapchat. Within 2 hours, she got 147 messages from 147 different individuals. The decoys, a lot of their messages, 56% of them are coming from America. Now, when they get ads, etc., messages from American people, I'm just like, well, we can't do anything about that right now, so just delete them. One thing I'm hearing every day from them is America, 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 America. So now in the back of my head, I'm thinking I need to have a conversation with John and work out how we can basically, if not in the coming future, immediately open up a headhunter branch in America, because my decoy team in America, England, are getting the information from Americans. They don't all have to be in America. We can actually manage this from England. But either I get on the streets out there, or somebody I bring underneath me.
What does it take to become a decoy? Like, how does
Pardon?
that process? How does someone become a decoy?
Okay, so my decoy team, I need a criminal record check, which is a paperwork that you have with the government. I'm not interested if you've had some misdemeanors in your life, or just to make sure that no crimes have ever been committed when it comes to children and women and the vulnerable. And I need an ID. I just need an address, and I need somebody who's willing to scour the internet. Snapchat's a great one where they're getting them from. On my other decoy group, which is part of an organization called Seek Mission, I think it's called, in Birmingham. They're the guys that I've made the recent documentary with. There's 4 of them on the group now. One of the girls there, one of the Sikh sisters on there, she's got a mobile phone and she uses Snapchat. And because she's talking to so many individuals on Snapchat, she said to me today, I've got about another 197 requests to add them. But because she's so busy with the individuals she's got, she's not adding them yet. So we're even ticking them off. The work is abundant. The problem is far deeper and darker than what I thought. So if somebody wants to be part of the decoy team, I've got 4 professional decoys there. I've got a number of decoys that are currently working. They're just starting out in the game, and they've got ongoing support with the professional decoys. You need to have a few hours out of your day. You're going to have some thick skin to it as well. I've had a researcher that's just jumped on the game as well with a new editor. You see, the team's grown by 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and this is since PredHunter.com has started. We're already making them. Before the coin was launched, I already created this bigger team because I had faith that PredHunter.com will live up to what it's told me. Otherwise, I'd be stuck with God knows how many more people to pay over the next coming months. But I knew that weren't going to happen. So we've already got the decoy team in place to do the live streams. We've got researchers in place. I've got a brand new private investigator. I cannot tell you how he goes around getting the work done, but this man is a genius on a different level. Through a phone number the other day, the information he gave me was just unbelievable. So I've even evolved to a position where the information that's coming to me right now, I'm not going to need to sit outside people's houses with private detectives and keep driving up the motorway. I've got another way of getting that done as well, which is like immediate. So we're evolving, we're getting better. But if anybody wants to be part of the decoy team, as long as they've got a few hours a day and they tick them boxes, I'm more than happy to bring them on. You've got ongoing support. We've got a document in there that basically shows you what to do, A to Z. There's a previous, like I said, some of the decoys were previously working for another organization that's defunct now. It doesn't work no more. They have created this manuscript of about 20 pages of A4, and it teaches you from 1 to 10 what you need to do, what sites you go on, what you do say, what you can't say, the legalities of it. So the ongoing training is there for the decoys as well. So if you girls ever want to jump on, because I know you're all right to just jump straight on it. We just need people to just give it a few hours a day. You know, you need to do it in the morning when kids aren't at school, and then throughout the day you don't do it because obviously you're supposed to be at school. Then do it in the afternoons. But you just let them come to you, and there's so many of them coming in, the work's out the window. I spoke to John yesterday. We're going to be purchasing some streaming equipment over the next couple of days, and we're going to be going out and doing live stings. Today I've discovered another one, so I've got like two stings to do this weekend and Monday, and then we've got 2 live stings to do next week, and then we've got 2 of the documentaries we're going to start working on. But I'm ticking the boxes quicker than I've ever ticked. The amount of content and work that I pushed out in the last 3 weeks, I haven't done that in the last 6 months. So it's working already, and it's all down to the support of Predator Hunter Coin. So I want to thank everybody at home that's getting involved. And you've got my word on it. You've got my guarantee. If you are skeptical about getting involved in crypto, you know, if you are going to get involved, this is a perfect project, because I've made sure the team aren't allowed to mess this up. This has to continue forever. If it doesn't, there's no point starting something if you're not going to finish it. I intend on finishing this, and the day I finish it will be the day I stop breathing. So this coin has to last until then. I can't hear you.
I can't hear you, babe.
Yeah, I got it now.
Oh, I was muted. I muted. You know, I love what you're doing. This is such a big topic that whether people agree or disagree, it is difficult. We don't talk about it a lot or much. And I don't know why there's this stigma about talking about real things.
It's a taboo subject. The main reasons I see that these crimes are spiraling out of control and happening in our communities, there's 2 main reasons behind it. And it's not just my opinion. This comes from professionals that have been in the business for a long time. A great friend of mine, Mohan Singh, an Amritdhari Sikh gentleman, very religious man. He's got an organization called Sikh Awareness Society. He goes around helping victims of grooming. He helps rehoming them. Recently, I've been involved with him with a case of a young Sikh girl who was 18 years old, and she's been groomed into being a Muslim, and the family have just walked into her last week praying on the floor in a burqa. The family are absolutely heartbroken. You know, there's a lot of Sikh organizations are coming to me for help right now as well, because of the trust they have, not just behind me, but behind my series, and they've seen the incredible results. So I'm breaking boundaries all over the place. But the main reasons behind these crimes continuing and continue to grow in the fashion that they are is, number one, it's a taboo subject. People aren't talking about it too much, and a lot of people are chucking it under the rug. The amount of times I get, like John was talking about, the sarcastic comment when somebody says you can't go after them all. I said, well, why not? Why not? Watch me. I can. If I've got the right network around me and I've got the right support and the resources, there's no reason why I can't go after them all. There was 750,000 crimes of rape and paedophilia in this country last year. Great Britain is the rape capital of Europe. That's where we've been. And one of the main reasons for that is the Islamic migration of this country. And it is the fact that it's been swept under the carpet by our judiciary, by our government, as we've seen with the grooming gang scandal. If our own government, our own state, our country, our people, its laws aren't going to take care of us, who else is? So, yeah, so that's why I'm building this. And I'm going to build this into a movement that will put the biggest dent on these crimes in this country and around the world that's ever existed. It's in me. I can do it. I've got the ecosystem and the knowledge to do it. And I've got the fire and the team behind me to do it. So we're going to get it done.
Do you believe that the public is becoming more aware of these issues? Do we need to bring more awareness, or do you think that many people still prefer not to even look at the issue?
I agree with
I'll
both
take that
of
one.
you. A lot of people still sweep it under the carpet, and there's another part of it where the public are aware of it. But in this country, with the freedom of speech issues we're having at the moment, a person that calls an individual a paedophile goes to prison longer than the actual paedophile. So that's what we're fighting against. And this is the reason I need to make dents in other areas as well. That's why I'm making political ties, so I know in the future, whoever's coming into power, they will I'll be able to lobby them, and they'll have the same passion that I have about wiping out this crime forever.
I think too, like, I know myself, right? You always hear about all these horrible stories and you're like, oh my God, like that's insane. But like, you don't really know what to do. So I think like you activating the team that with the project and things like that will give people the tools, resources and stuff to actually help and do the things too.
And the other part. And the other part of it, that's why I keep putting out content consistently. I've just had 2 pieces of work that Predator Hunter have been involved with. There's Up Close and Personal with Gurram, Sing the Raise the Colours of the Flag. Tommy Robinson has shared both the videos on his platform over the coming days. You know, that's going to hit amazing numbers. So that'll get the word out. But yeah, the reason I keep putting out the content and is because it's a line of defense. Every single person that's come to me, they've come to me because of the internet, because of social media. They're like, I recognize him. I recognize Gurram. I'm going to go to him. Another person will call me and say, I watched your documentary. Can you come and help me? So the content has to come out on a regular basis as well, because that's the way that people can get to us. But I've got the team to go around everybody that comes to me now. So yeah, it's in a great position.
That's awesome.
John, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take us on a tangent, but I can. I think the issue here is I think that the issue is that most men are pussies, and they are so worried about diving into a topic like this that they just don't say anything. I mean, and it's evident, and there's groups that I've shared this in that said, hey, Gurram, it's going to be live streaming Catching Pedos. And it's the same guys who were like shit a gay Matt Fury pink cat a couple weeks ago who are like, oh my God, get this nigga out of here because this is crazy. And why would we talk about this? It's like, it's a real issue. Like, for once, there's a real fucking issue and a real mission you can get behind in crypto. And the people who, you know, I've called gay for killing little pink cats are sitting there and like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's saying this. You know what I mean? But it's a societal conditioning that I think across the board, and it's evident with the Epstein files, right? Like there's 2 people, Jeffrey Epstein, who killed himself, and then Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in charge who was charged with trafficking thousands of underage girls. However, nobody besides Prince Andrew has been charged with actually doing something with these girls. Like, this is a global thing. This is a absolute disgusting thing that is going on, and there's no one fighting it. I mean, Tim Tebow's fighting it. We saw him in Congress. Anna Palima, who's a congresswoman from Florida, has put out a bill to where child rapists would get the death penalty, which I highly support. I'm sure Gurram does too. But other than that, there's like no one's saying shit. You know, there's a couple people in America who are doing streams about it, but like most of the world is turning a blind eye, and they're like, oh my God, Iran sent a missile to Dubai. What do we do? What if it hits the Burj Khalifa? No one gives a fuck. Like, there's kids being hurt. You know what I mean? Like, if we have the ability to do something to stop it, we have the responsibility to do something to stop it. Hard stop. End of story. If you don't support that, or you're a pedophile supporter.
Precisely. I'll give you another statistic, John. Last year in this country, 65,000 children went missing. I think the amount of times I've seen any of these stories actually hit mainstream media was about twice. So what's happening with the other 58,998? It's definitely something I want to start looking into and do a documentary about. Well, and the next step, and one of the shows that I'm making currently, which we made the show, we just got to do the sting, is about the grooming gangs and child trafficking problem in London. So I think once I've got that out of the way, because I'm going to get a lot of intelligence and information out of that documentary, we need to start working on where the hell these kids are going.
Heaven forbid you say a Pakistani raped a child, then you fucking go to jail for a Facebook post.
Precisely, yeah, that's what we're dealing with. But, you know, we'll fight through it and we'll get the job done. And that's another reason why we're making these political ties, because I know unless we talk about this problem, we can't solve it. And right now in this country, as I said, if you call somebody a paedophile, they're literally getting more time in prison than an actual paedophile. This all has to change. So these political ties I'm making are going to carry a lot of weight, and we're going to be creating dents in this business, in that game, in that way as well. So yeah, we're moving definitely in the right way forward.
I mean, and you guys have said a lot of valid and key information. So one of the things that we keep talking about is like why people are not talking about it. And, you know, there is a fear of being wrong, trust in authorities, power and influence. And we know that trafficking of humans is $1 billion industry. Who does that benefit? And, you know, is that one of the reasons probably why the authorities don't want to stop it and put the actual victims in jail versus the actual pedophiles?
Well, I can elaborate on that, Gina. Recently, I've been doing a lot of work with a whistleblower for Metropolitan Police called John Wedger. He's very famous. He's highly regarded in a lot of circles. John Wedger was a high-ranking detective at Scotland Yard in London, and he was, well, you know, it was his job to find out where these paedophiles are, etc. John Wedger uncovered a trafficking gang on the canals of London. So the canals are small streams. In the back of the day, they were created by man to move products such as coal, wood, and logs up and down river. You have canal boats and people live on them, and he found that there was a trafficking ring throughout the canal system in Great Britain. And what these individuals would do on their canal boats, have you guys in America ever heard of Rosie and Jim, the cartoon? You got the two puppets, Rosie and Jim. So when you walk past these canal boats, if they had a puppet of Jim in the window, that means that they've got boys to hire out. If they've got a puppet of Rosie in the window, that means they've got young girls to hire out. So he uncovered this paedophile trafficking ring throughout the whole country through the canal network. John Wedger has worked with me with 2 documentaries. One, it's been a year in the making. We still haven't got the sting done. I've now employed a tracing company to get me some new intelligence on this individual. I'm planning on going after him in 2 weeks' time. He's a very, very, very famous name, very famous. I can't really speak any more about it for now. But the other documentary is about these child traffickers in central London. And I've already recorded with John for this documentary. And what he told me was when it comes to the crimes of children being raped, pillaged and sold off, the police aren't interested because they can't get to the cash cow. When it comes to prostitution, when it comes to selling drugs, when it comes to arms, the police somehow find out where the money's at and they go after it and they get the money, because that money will benefit future investigation, will work for whatever police forces is in power, whatever area the police force is in. But for some reason, the police cannot get to the root of the money when it comes to child trafficking. And because of that reason, that's why they don't invest in it, because there's nothing to be gained out of it. That's the problem we're dealing with. And that'll all come out in the child trafficking ring that I'm about to bring down in London once that documentary is released.
Oh, wow. That is freaking crazy.
Yep. That's what we're dealing with. So, yeah, so here's the thing. There has to be political change. This isn't just going to be a case, yeah, I'm going to go after all of them and I'm going to absolutely ruin their lives, because that is part of what I do. It's a part of what I'm capable of doing due to the many platforms and individuals that I'm involved with. It has to change politically as well. So with the work I've done already, with the work I'm going to do in the future, and with who I am as a man and human being, luckily I've got access to who potentially could be the future leaders of the country. This needs to change from the ground up. I'll start making a change, but it has to resonate in Parliament. So over the coming years, I will keep continuing to make the political ties as I am doing right now, and I will be doing in the future, to make sure that whoever is in power in the future, they're definitely going to put an end to it. So that's why I've got my meeting with Ben Habib on Monday. That's why in the future I'm talking to Rupert Lowe. That's why I'm going to talk to Nick Tenconi, because I believe these individuals will be the next leaders of our country in about 3 years' time. So it's better if I get in there now and start them conversations now, and I have their personal phone numbers now, so they can give me that guarantee that this problem isn't going to continue under their leadership. And I will hold them to account for that as well.
You said something about political change, right? And the efforts against child exploitation. And I know that there are efforts, or it seems like there might be efforts, or maybe not, in many countries. Do you think that at time there is like political priorities? And it's so sad to say, but I think that some governments, maybe, the way that I see it here in America is that we deal with many competing issues at once, like the economy, the war, the healthcare, immigration, and more. And therefore, that issues like child protection receive less attention.
Yeah, 100%. It receives less attention. Like I just told you what John Wedger told me, it receives less funding. So because it receives less attention, it doesn't get the sort of scope and the backing that it does require. But in government, you've got ministers of this parliament, which we call the cabinet. They all sit around the same table every day down the street. Each individual has their job. I just don't believe any other job. Look, if even when it came to the grooming gang scandal, it happened for decades. I was part of the organisation, leading the organisation, English Defence League, that exposed it. We weren't the first people to expose it, but we had the platform to send it out to millions. When we started sending it out to millions, then arrests started happening. We've read from the J report, we've watched from Rupert Lowe's recent rape gang inquiry, how over and over and over again, police and the counsellors and the social workers didn't just politically hide this for the sake of community cohesion. We found that, they took bribes from these people, from these Pakistani people, to hide the crime. We found that these people, police officers and social workers, they've been raping these children as well. So because of that reason, they don't want this crime to be found out, because they'll get found out. They've all been in cahoots together, and the Labour Party have been complicit in these actions. These Pakistani grooming gang scandals have been committed all over this country. And if it's happening to this country, I think it's only a matter of time before we start finding out of them being committed and happening in London, in America, in France, in Spain, in India, everywhere. Because the Pakistani community has this attitude to women. The Muslim community have this attitude to women that's completely barbaric to what us guys feel it in the West. Because when it comes to Sikhs and Hindus and Jews and Christians and Rastafarians, we're all kind of on the same page. We all think the same. It's only Islam which is completely alien to the rest of us. It's their communities that are struggling with these problems over and over again because it's so accepted within their religious scriptures. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but if you watch my documentary, Ali Dawah, I've got an evangelist called Bob the Builder that was on the show, and he speaks in a lot of depth about it. So I've even educated the world on what Islam has to say on these issues of rape and polygamy and paedophilia, etc. But for some reason in this country, that community are just forgiven and they give in. They're just let off over and over and over again. So other communities, if it was Christian gangs committing these crimes or Jamaican gangs committing these crimes, they do get arrested and they actually do get some justice. But then other communities don't. So these troubles are political. It goes to the very depth of every single city, constituency throughout this whole country, whether it be police, social workers, education, even the healthcare. I've heard that there's been rapes being committed in hospitals in this country, and that's been hidden. I've started sending out some freedom of information requests to find out what the hell's going on in hospitals right now. It's happening everywhere, but that's why we're doing the political tie, so we can definitely make an impact politically. I'm sure nobody at the top will keep, let's say, just shoving this problem to the bottom of the cockpit. You know what I mean? We need to open up the doors and start hitting it. I'm working on the street, and I'm going to be building it up right to the top for the coming years, and we'll get the job done eventually.
That is freaking, you are doing the Lord's work, what a lot of people are not brave enough to do. And isn't it exhausting or emotionally, mentally exhausting at times? And if so, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with it?
I mean, you know what? I've just released that film today, Up Close and Personal with the Predator Hunter series. There was a moment in my life last year I did break. It did break. When you've got stories, when you've got victims that want your help, and I'm not able to help them at the moment because I'm recording something else or I've got some properties to develop and I didn't have the funds to help them, that's what's exhausting. That's what drains my mind. If I've said to a victim, I'm going to come round and help you, I'll be there in a week, I'm just getting to my team together and I'm not there in a week, that's what's exhausting to me. There was a time I broke last year. I went into a deep spot of depression. I thought them problems I had from prison that I thought I had dealt with, they all started flooding back a little bit. And I had to just remove myself from my family, from the city for a couple of weeks. I went on a couple of holidays by myself. I was excessively drinking, but I had to just find myself. And I did do. And that was the time where I said to myself, either we really go for this now, or we just leave it where it is, and just say to the world that I tried, I know I work for these people, but I can't do no more. And I've never been a quitter. I can't give up. I've never given up on anything in my life. I'm relentless and resilient to the death. And something switched in me and I just flipped and I was like, I've got to do this now. When I'm hearing stories now, the victims coming to me on a daily basis who have been raped by the stepfather, when I'm hearing stories of another victim who's 12 years old and he died of AIDS, they used to pick him up out of his bed every day at a care home and put him in a taxi because he couldn't walk because of paedophiles had damaged his anal cavity so badly he wasn't able to walk ever. So his care workers used to pick him up, put him in a taxi to drive him to the paedophile's house every day to be raped consistently, continually by high net worth individuals in London. I've got this individual's details. That's another job we're looking into. This boy's dead now, but that story resonated with me so much. And so I'm going to create a documentary called Finding Norris. So I'm going to find him, I'm going to find the people that did this to him, and I'm going to hold them all to account and make them all famous. And I'm going to give this boy, who I've never met in my life, some justice from the grave. A boy that's shoved into our care system, raped, pillaged, and then murdered, and never got any justice at all, and nobody's never heard his name. He should be on front page newspapers. We all need to know this name. So I'm getting involved in that. These stories do, but when I'm hearing these stories now, yes, it does get to me, it does hurt me, but I've managed to build a way, I've managed to build a strength where it won't let it affect me like it used to affect me. Yes, I have to worry about victims' emotions and what they've been with. I've dealt with them for so long right now. I know how to act, how to approach, in what manners to work with them. But I can't let this get to me on the way it did get to me last year, and I don't allow that to happen no more. I think the best way I can deal with this, I hear the stories, I know how to deal with it because I'm so experienced in what I do right now, and I just need to do right and best by the victims. My emotions shouldn't come into this at all. My emotions are irrelevant. My wife keeps saying, you need to talk. How are you feeling? I honestly believe right now it doesn't matter how I feel. I'm all right. I'll deal with it as long as I'm helping them and they're going to be okay at the end of it. How the previous victims are, then I'm happy. I'm good to go.
If for the people that want to get involved and doing this, because I mean, what you're doing, something it's heartbreaking too, especially when, the story of the little boy that you told us and that you were telling me behind the scenes. And, you have constantly have to confront humans' darkest behavior. And you, as a predator hunter, you're going to spend hours communicating with people, that are targeting children, reading the disturbing messages, confronting individuals who intend to harm minors. Now, say that, for example, I wanted to begin helping Gina, John, he's another type of beast, mentally and emotionally. But there are people where they want to do the humanitarian work, and eventually it is going to get to you emotionally and mentally. I can't even imagine. I think I would probably go psycho, because I am a mother and I have children. And to me, just the thought of that makes me want to cry, makes me want to throw up. How do you tell them, okay, if you're going to come into this is the type of mental preparation that you need to do? Or is it one of those that it's kind of difficult, you have a breakdown, and either you pick up, you continue doing the work, or you're going to have to exit doing the work?
This isn't the sort of work that's going to be for someone that thinks that if they're going to break down, they won't be able to come back from it. Like I said, with the manual that we've got in my decoy group, and if somebody wants to be a decoy, especially if they're in the United Kingdom area, you can contact me at gurumitsingh@urbanscoop.news and I can walk you through it. It takes a certain type of person. Recently, I've got this new editor and he's got a wife that wanted to be involved, and she's great at research. So she's helping out do some research, pulling up some media clips, etc. we can use as a documentary, doing fantastic work. I gave her a couple of jobs to do, and immediately, she sent me voice messages back, and you could hear in her voice how disturbed she got. She's opening up doors and looking into articles and books that you have never even knew existed. I didn't even know existed. It's a whole new era. There's a whole new thing that's happening that's been happening out there for years, and until you go down that rabbit hole, you will not believe the sort of crimes that you're going to uncover. I had my bit of a breakdown and I said to myself, I can't let this happen again. Emotionally, I'm here for the victims. My emotions don't come into it no more. I've trained myself and taught myself, just go head on and face head on, and do not be worried or scared. And don't let anybody make you get worried or scared. The amount of times I've heard people say, oh, don't you think that's a bit dangerous? Don't you think you shouldn't be doing that? Don't let people fear you into being a weak human being. If you listen to that, you'll always fail in life. You need to just hit it head on, straight on, and just go for it. Yes, I mean, with the researcher, I told her, look, you're going to read and you're going to listen to a lot of things right now. This is something that you have to deal with yourself. This is the first rabbit hole you've gone down to. Once you put your phone down, sit with yourself for 5 minutes and teach yourself to just control your emotions. This is about controlling your emotions, and don't let your emotions get the better of you, because in that time when you're away from this business, when you're away from this game, when you're not doing that research or a decoy is offline, that's time where this crime is being committed against another human being. That's, potentially it could be a scenario where you could have helped. So this isn't a case of feeling too sorry for yourself and walking away. This is a case of look what you're potentially able to prevent and stick with it. Have a moment to yourself, breathe, don't let your emotions get the better of you, and get straight back to work. And that's all I do. I've over the years, I've grown some thick skin to it now as well. So it's a lot easier for me to cope with than what it was. But I have learned to put my emotions on the back table with it. I go out, I do my work with that, and I come home and I'm back into family mode. And I think that's how everybody needs to be. They need to be able to switch on and switch off from it. It takes a certain individual.
You talk about family because you have a family. And when you're doing this type of work, how important is it to have a strong support system that supports you, because you are going to have those down moments where you need them to help and give you that push.
You see, my wife says that to me as well. I kind of sort myself out mentally. I don't. Look, I could open up to my wife a lot more than what I do. I do talk to my wife on a regular when it comes to the business, when it comes to the household. You know, when it comes to the Pred Hunter series, I kind of keep that very private. My wife
Okay.
obviously comes to my events every time we have a unveiling of a documentary. We live stream it onto Tommy's X account from a venue in Nottingham. You know, hundreds of people come down. It's a great celebration as well. Afterwards, the victims have it; they feel better, and we sit down and have a drink. You know, it's a good event. There's so much darkness in this game. You know, when you have these little events and people come together and they support each other, you see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel as well. That's why I keep the events going. So my wife sees the documentaries when they come out. My wife doesn't see or hear about what happens on the road, how it came around, the evidence that I look at. There's a lot that goes into these documentaries, and there's a lot of things I look at and I watch that you won't get to see because it's always blacked out or redacted, because obviously you put that sort of thing on television, etc., on various platforms. So I don't really go into deep conversations about how it's gone. I'm very simple. Yeah, it's gone all right, and that's it. But I kind of just deal with the emotions and everything myself, put them to one side. I handle my business. I get home, and then I take care of my family, and that's all I do. And it works. It works for me. I'm not the sort of dude that needs to sit down at home and cry on someone's shoulder. I'm the sort of dude who everyone else cries on my shoulder, and I like it that way. So I live my life like that, and that's how it's always been, and I suppose it always will be. But yeah, but once I'm home and I'm back to family, we don't talk about it. It's done. My wife recently has been saying you need to have some off times, because especially in the evenings when the decoys come back from work, they're constantly messaging, and that's kind of starting to annoy her a bit. And even when I'm around my mum's house having some dinner, she's like, "You're on that bloody phone again." So I do need to address that. But apart from that, I know it's impacted their lives, especially financially, over the last year or so. That's probably been the biggest burden. I've took that problem away now, so we'll just start flowing again. Hopefully, it'll all get back to normal in no time at all.
Yeah. Or maybe having, an assistant that at certain times, when the decoys are coming back and you're having dinner with wife and the family, they go directly to them.
Here's the thing. My wife actually said this to me last night as well. Have you thought about having somebody to do the work for you? The reason my documentary series has been so successful, and the reason my decoys, I've been able to amass so many decoys in such a short period and put them into groups myself, and there's more people coming in. There's people asking me daily, can we join? The reason I'm on your show, the reason the Pred Hunter coin started, is because my name's on it. Now, when I give it to an assistant, like if Tommy Robinson didn't answer his phone calls and give it to an assistant, people won't talk to them. People talk to me and they'll message me because they trust me. If I say pass your messages on to him or to her, and then they've got to pass to me, I can guarantee you most of the messages won't get to them. We'll wait until Amit's available again. And I wake up the next morning, I got double load. So I kind of need to make it work. I mean, I've told everyone I start my day at 4 or 5 in the morning. I go to the gym, I go see my grandma, I do the shopping, I go out, I handle my business, and then I do my stings. I do my Pred Hunter bit, and then I'm home for 6, 7 o'clock. Some weeks I have to stay out for a couple of nights. Like next week, I'm out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I try and keep that to a minimum so it doesn't disturb mine and my wife's time. But so yeah, it's just the evening times with the constant phone calls, telegrams, and this, and especially with the TP coin, I need to be there for that as well. And with it, a lot of the people in the team are in America. There's a big time difference. So like it's 1:30 in the morning now here, you know what I mean? And I'm doing a podcast.
Oh my
so,
goodness.
yeah. So it's the evening part I need to control, but it's not a problem. It's not a big problem, and I'll work it out somehow. Yeah, I will get it done. But apart from
next time that we do the podcast, we're gonna do it earlier so you can get some rest.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know it was 1 o'clock, so I really appreciate that with all of the work.
I set my alarm. I set my alarm for 11:30, and then I came straight down, and I thought I'll get this done and then go back to bed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious! No, next time we'll definitely do it earlier at a decent time for you.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. Yeah.
Now, I know that we said an hour. We're like at an hour and a half, and I think this is one of those topics that you can continue talking about it nonstop, because there's like so much to unpack. I do want to ask you two last questions. One of them, what is a moment in your life that still hurts when you think about it, but also has helped shape the man that you are today?
In Kira's Justice, at the end of that documentary, I always talk about with Kira's Justice, it did a lot for me as well. I was going through a lot of grief at the time. I lost a few best friends of mine, Andrew Dunn, John Tansley, who raised me. They were a lot older than me. They're like my father's generation. They raised me. And then, a couple of years ago, my father died as well. So it's like the men that were in my life that I used to fall back on, the men that I used to go about my emotions. You talk about support network. That was my support. And since they passed, I've never had that again. I'll never be able to replace it. But they were the big moments in my life. They were the moments in my life where I thought, you're by yourself now. You're on your own, so you have to deal with it. I wish that they were here watching what I was doing now, because they love it. They love it. You know what I mean? They read, but losing the men in my life, especially my father, they were the biggest turning points in my life. I think it's a different sort of pain when you talk to a man about him losing his father. That's the sort of pain only like a man will know what it feels like. But yeah, well, coming from a man's perspective. But yeah, they're the points in my life that kind of hit hard. They still hit deep. After Kira's Justice, I managed to get a lot of that grief out of my system. It still gets me, you know what I mean? It still does hit me. But yeah, I'm still working through it.
That's the best that you can do. Work through it every day and not let it consume you or cripple you.
Yeah.
Before we close up shop, John, do you have any last words, parting words, or anything that you want to tell the people, the community? And then we're going to go back to Gurmit.
Leslie, Gurmit is the star of the show. Do not steal away his thunder for me, please.
About the project, anything? No, we're going to end with Gurmit.
That means he's still trying to find that mongoose in his garden that's fucking up his lawn.
Oh my god!
No, dude,
yes.
I don't think it's a mongoose. I think it's a fucking muskrat or a groundhog or some shit. But no, I would say, if you're doubting the predator hunter now, watch this.
Yeah.
That's it. And watch what we do.
Damn right, 100%.
Gurmit, any last parting words? Anything that you want to leave the listeners, the audience, or any people that may be watching the show in the future with?
It's a very hard subject to talk about, but we've spoken about a lot tonight. My documentaries you can see on all platforms. It's shared on the predhunter.com website. There's a lot more information out there for you. It's not a sort of topic you want to discuss, but it's a topic you have to discuss, and especially if you have children or planning on having children like me and my wife are. You should have an open discussion about these problems in your families, in your household, in your places of religion, everywhere that you associate. You should have this conversation with everybody in and out of your circles to try and prevent these problems from happening. Throughout my documentaries, there's a lot of educational information there as well that can help parents to watch out for their children being groomed online or in the street or at school or whatever other social network they're part of. So definitely watch them and put message out there to your loved ones to hopefully prevent these crimes from happening to their children in the future. I want to thank John, Shane Temple, Shogun, and the rest of the team that helped put this show together, helped put this coin together. I want to thank yourself for having me here. And I look forward to speaking to you guys more in the future. And if you ever need me to jump on again, just let me know, and I'll definitely be there.
Thank you so much for being here tonight, and for the audience. We heard a story. We heard Gurmit's story, shaped by controversy, consequences, conviction, from activism in prison to investigative work exposing online predators through the Predator Hunt Project. Gurmit's journey has taken many turns. So whether you agree or disagree, conversations like this remind us how important it is to confront difficult issues and protect the most vulnerable in our society. And after hearing this conversation tonight, the real question isn't what one person is doing, it's what each of us is willing to do. And the conversations that matter most are usually the ones people are afraid to have. So thank you again, Gurmit, for doing the Lord's work, and hope to have you back. I am definitely going to get involved, because I don't think that we should be without protecting our children. So thank you once again. And thank you, John and Gina, for tuning in. And until next time, everybody, stay unscripted. Good night. Catch.